Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel where you guys get to watch me go from $140,000 worth of student loan debt to becoming financially independent and free and hopefully someday increasing my net worth to over $1 million. This video in particular is going to be a walkthrough of my February budget. I've already posted one video so far in February. That video was more of setting up the groundwork for February of what my first paycheck was gonna be and what some of my expenses were gonna be for the month. But this video is actually gonna be a little bit different because I'm gonna go ahead and start plugging in some of the numbers for my second paycheck of the month, plus my side hustle income, which I know that's been a long time coming on this channel. I've talked about it in so many videos since I think Christmas, and I have yet to show any fruit from that until today. You guys know that one of the reasons why I'm so, I guess, strict with myself and adamant about budgeting and keeping a monthly budget is because I want to get out of my student loans as fast as possible. And so I'm gonna go ahead and now shut up. Well, I'm not gonna shut up, I'm gonna keep talking, but I'm gonna show you guys my budget with me spreadsheet that I use in Google Sheets. So let's go ahead and take a look at what this month has brought for me financially. So we're gonna go ahead and first take a look at my income and what it's gonna be this month and what it has been so far this month. As you guys can see in my last video, I posted the update that I got a paycheck of just over $2,500, which was great because that was $457 over what I had even budgeted to get paid for my first paycheck of the month. And I was really happy with that. It's always nice to be, I guess, over budget when it comes to income because it's easier to plan for less income and then need to plan for more income later than the other way around. I don't want to plan to receive more income and then be blindsided by two lower paychecks, because that happened quite often, I believe, in the months of October and November and December of last year. So at the time of filming my last video, I was able to punch in the numbers for my first paycheck, which was $2,557.39, which is great. I have here my phone, I'm just checking my bank account. This second paycheck actually hasn't hit my bank account yet, but it does show up as a pending transaction in my kind of bank transaction sheet. So tomorrow, my next paycheck for the month will hit the bank, which is awesome because it is a great one. In fact, I think, I could be totally wrong here, but I think this is the highest paycheck I've ever been paid for my company ever since we have switched to a bi-weekly payment method. So paycheck number 2 is a beautiful one. We are looking at $2,832.68. Boom. So, like I said, I think that's one of probably the highest paychecks I've ever received since we've done this bi-weekly pay period thing with my job. And that's great. That's $732 over what I have budgeted for receiving in paycheck number 2 this month. And that's great. That's really going to help out with these increased expenses we've had this month, plus the rising cost of living. Plus, as you guys know, I always say I want to pay as much towards my student loans and get rid of them on a monthly basis as quickly as possible. And this is what's going to help do that. Next on the list that I'm really excited to share with you guys and talk with you guys about, I've mentioned for several videos now, actually I think for 2 months now, that I have this side hustle job that I do now where I'm an occupational therapist and I doing like a per diem work with the school district that I'm located in, and I see kids who have like a developmental disability or maybe even like a learning disability or something like that where they're developmentally delayed for school, and I go out and I work with them. So I've been doing this job now for at least a month, but I finally figured out how to submit my payment voucher for this month, well, actually for last month, but it'll probably come in this month. And so far, and I need to caveat this, but so far for 3 sessions, which is in total an hour and a half of of work, of session work. I am getting paid $234, which is great. That's awesome. That's higher than any pay that I received when I worked at my previous side hustle job that I talked about with the candy shop and all that stuff. So that's great. That's an hour and a half extra work per month. That's not per week, that's per month. And it was $234, and that's only going to increase as I get more kids, I do more sessions, etc. However, I need to caveat that number, the $234, because that is pre-taxed money. Being a, what they call a sole proprietor, but basically someone who is working per diem, the taxes are not taken out of what I get paid. So I have to be responsible and set aside money that I can then pay taxes for this income because it's not taxed yet. So what I did was I did a little bit of math over here. Someone else who is doing this job, I asked them how much they usually portion out for their taxes, and they usually say that about 35% per paycheck is what they hold aside for tax purposes. So I did a little bit of math here that equals out to 35% of $234 is right around 81 bucks. So you subtract that from the 234, you get $153. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put into this slot $153 because that's what I feel is safe to put into money that I can use to pay off student loan debt or to pay off expenses, etc. I'm not gonna put the 234 in there because that is pre-taxed, and I wanna, look at the net income and not the gross income, if that makes sense. We're not really gonna touch anything else here for dividends and miscellaneous, but we are gonna go down and look at the cash back column because I finally figured out what it's gonna be for this month in this kind of cycle of the credit card that I use, which is the Amazon Prime card or whatever it's called. And it is currently $34. That's a nice chunk of cash for this month, extra money for this month that I can use towards paying off expenses and putting towards student loans. So before we go ahead and look at anything further on this chart and on this spreadsheet I just want to take a look here that we are doing quite well for the actual income side of things. As you can see, I normally budget for around $4,200 of income. This month we are at $5,588 for actual income. And that's awesome. Feeling quite blessed right now with, the paychecks this month being great, having some extra side hustle income finally come through. So it's really good to see this difference here of $1,377 of extra income this month that we're going to be able to put towards these higher expenses and towards student loans. Before we head to the expense column side of things, I just want to quickly stop here and look at my sinking funds. This is something that I have just put into my spreadsheet. I did it for the last video, and I briefly explained in there how this is going to work with the planned versus the actual and total saved for each of these categories listed. So the good news is that I can go ahead and punch in the numbers for this month of how much I was actually able to contribute towards each of these sinking funds. Spoiler alert, I have fully funded each category. So that's great, and that will reflect down in the expense column. So I'm just gonna quickly go ahead and put in 50 bucks for each of these line items here for vacation and Christmas and planning for a baby someday. So that equals a total cost of $150, which then bumps each of these up by 50 bucks. So now we're at 100 for each of these categories. Great. So I have a total saved in my sinking funds for these three columns of 300 bucks. Cool. And that will segue right into the expense column where you guys can see my first expense line item I have listed as a sinking fund. So that's what we just did. We just inputted those numbers up there in the blue column. Mortgage, I already talked about in the last video, comes out automatically the first of the month. It's $1,059. Internet has already been paid for this month at $64.99. Water, I just looked up before pressing record how much it's going to be this month, And actually, lo and behold, it's a little bit cheaper than what I anticipated. I planned for around 50 bucks every other month to pay towards my water bill, and this month it is 43 bucks. So cool, 7 bucks less than what I had originally planned for it. Moving on down from there to car insurance, and I got a notification, a text message, like I said, and it was $105, right on the money for this month. So I don't know whatever that hiccup was for the month of December, but we are now at $105 for car insurance. Phone has already been paid for. Student loan has already been, the $800 has already been contributed. I consider that to be my minimum for my student loans. And then once I'm done budgeting, I can figure out how much extra I'll put towards my student loans this month. But the $800 has already been taken out. Electric was $62, not $200. So that's a savings this month of around 138 bucks. Cool. Groceries this month. Oh, I did look that up. I did look it up. Let me bring up the app. I have it here. So far, I think what I'm actually going to do, I might do this in the next budget with me video for the month of March, is the app that I use to kind of parse out and tell me exactly how much I'm spending for each category is the Intuit Mint. Is it Mint? Yeah, Mint app, the financial app, not the cell phone service company with Ryan Reynolds and all that stuff. So it's not Mint Mobile, it's just the Mint Intuit app. One thing it has difficulty doing is separating out what's a grocery expense and what's just an expense that you got like at a restaurant. And it kind of lumps them all together. And this month I did have some restaurant charges, I guess, because it was Valentine's Day, it was my wife's birthday. So those, and I think we went to a bakery or something like that once. So what I'm going to probably do moving forward is I'm probably going to remove the restaurant line item from my budget because we don't eat out too much. We might eat out like once a month, and the app is having difficulty with calculating that. And it's just easier for me to go in there and I guess ascribe everything to a grocery budget rather than parsing it out between restaurants and groceries like as a separate category. So with that being said, as you guys can see, I'm frowning a little bit because groceries this month were expensive again. Not as expensive as they were last month, but they were quite expensive this month. And right now the total is sitting at $314.40, which is, as you guys can see, we're a little bit in the red there at $94.40. That's not too bad. I'm not as worried about it as much because we did get a ton of extra payment up here in income, and some of the expenses have already been lower. So I think it does equal out. Like the electric was lower and the water was lower. So in some ways, I guess they equal each other out for the planned expense for the month. But I just want to kind of be cautious of that. I don't want to continue to have it run up every month. But it is what it is. We're fine. I'm fine. Amazon Prime is the same. Gas price. Oh, this is the one I didn't look at yet. Oh, yes, I did. It's right here. Thank you, Mint app. It has everything. So far, the Mint app says that I should actually track this separately from the app to see if it's correct. But so far, the Mint app says that I have used out of my budget $157.26 towards gas this month. Just as a quick plug, one of the things that I have done a little as like a way to offset my gas prices by a little bit, because there is rising gas prices everywhere. One thing I'm doing is using, and I've talked about it on this channel before, the GETupside app. And what it is, it's an app that you link to a credit card or a debit card, and you can then buy gas with that card at whatever gas station it's available with. And it will usually give you anywhere from like 10 cents off a gallon all the way up to like, I think 25 cents off a gallon, which is great. It's a neat app. There really isn't a catch with it. I've been using it now for, I think, 6 months, maybe not that many. No, yeah, 6 months. I think since last October or September. And it's super simple and super easy to set up. I'll leave a link down in the description to my referral code. So I think when you sign up with that referral code, you get a little bit extra towards your first fill up or something like that. I don't know exactly how it works. I think they go in cycles of how much they're going to give you. But it's a very simple and easy app to use, and I highly recommend it to anyone who wants to save a little bit on gas, as much as you can. I understand there might be a little bit better ways to save on gas, but if you couple this with a good credit card that's going to give you cash back on your gas, and you couple this which is going to give you cents back per gallon that you purchase, I think you'll be sitting pretty, as much as you can be sitting pretty with the way gas prices are. So I'll leave the link in the description if you're interested in that app. And then the last thing we need to take a look at is restaurants. I'm going to leave this blank because this was all factored into the grocery prices. So I'm not going to put anything here. But the last thing we just need to kind of look at down here is the net income for the month. As you can see, our total expenses were less by $123.34, less than what I planned for. That's great. We love to see that number turn green. That means we have less expenses. And our net income, let's see. We planned for a net income of $1,366, but we had a net income of $2,866.42. And that's great. That's, as you guys can see, $1,500 over what I planned to have left over at the end of paying off all my bills. So we will have a lovely sum of money to put towards savings, but most importantly, put towards paying off my stinking student loans. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one, which I believe is going to be either a debt payment update for my student loans, or it's going to be a net worth update. And I'm really excited to share with you guys this month's net worth update because I've made a lot of progress since the last time I've shared it. So stay tuned for that, and thank you guys so much for watching. Take care.